Reginald here. Okay, so I got this request in a comment to make a video explaining how not to take damage during movement, and I realized that one of the great gaps in this game that most players suffer from is a lack of any real explanation for advanced techniques like leveraging circuits, kiting, funneling, linearization, and so on. So how about I do that? I will talk about some more core mechanics, but I want to start with something a bit more interesting so newer watchers understand this conversation actually has some depth to it, and some actually tantalizing concepts to play with. So let's talk first about circuits. Circuits are a specific route that you can take around a map when kiting that will allow you to naturally avoid getting hemmed in, cornered, and annihilated by the enemy mass. It's a pre-planned route you can take that often has the natural advantage of linearizing enemy mobs. This can be done with any number of players and is extremely useful when dealing with masses that are hard to control. Here's an example in Gloriana's midpoint. In this midpoint, you can see that there is there's actually 3 paths you can take around the outside of the main area, but then it compresses back into that central passage behind the actual console here. You can really pick whether or not you go wide or you go narrow here, but the main important part of this is that you're going to always class back in that choke point, and you can use that choke point to deal a lot of damage into groups of enemies. And then once things break back out, you can decide how you're going to maneuver. Generally speaking, everybody should try to maneuver together and be very tight if you're doing this as a group. Speaking of Gloriana's midpoint, for the 3 people I was hanging out with the other day, this is why I was saying that we had good odds of winning if we could make it past the beginning, which we did not do. Good lord, that set of modifiers on Havoc 40, Gloriana was actually pretty difficult. Did we get like 6 monstrosities like 7 times in a row? I don't even remember, it was nuts. Anyway, now that you have this new tool under your belt, you can start to learn it on new maps. Here's another one that is very helpful, on one of the Throneside tile set maps. One thing I want to inform you of is that skills like this, while powerful, do not translate into automatic wins. Like everything, it's about increasing the odds that you can win. It's a tool. Using it as 4 players requires a lot of team coordination, but has a ton of advantages for linearization and all the knock-on effects of that. Using it as 1 player is largely tied to your kiting skills, so let's get into those kiting skills. This will be an attempt to distill my 2,500 hours of raw instinct into something resembling words. If you ask most high-level players, they'll probably tell you the same thing here, that it's just kind of like feels, bro. If you need a primer on truly base mechanics, then please watch this video. Hopefully you understand at least how to dodge slide, and dodge based on audio cues by now, but if you don't, seriously go watch that video, it's concise. With that in mind though, there are a few key pieces of knowledge and skills that I hope to bestow in this vein. Number 1. Distance makes the difference. I know this sounds weird, but the whoosh isn't actually consistent. The attack still does have a hitbox, and you can avoid the game's prediction of a hit by simply being far enough away or moving out of the way, even if you don't actually break tracking with a dodge. Now look man, I cannot tell you when the whoosh is going to hit and when it isn't. It's, for me, literally a feel thing. You just have to experiment. Personally, I get this little tingle between my shoulder blades when I'm going to get hit, and I don't when I don't. And no, I can't explain better than that, and yes, it doesn't make any sense, and yes, this is seriously how I judge my distance. I kind of think that double dodging before sprinting is one way to get the distance you need, but that probably depends on base dodge distance and dodge speed of your weapon and other caveats. So you're gonna have to feel it out for each weapon, which I have done with my bazillion hours in the game. Number 2, sprinting is not safe unless you have distance already. As a rule, sprinting makes you safer from gunfire, but not from melee, except when the enemy cannot catch you, which they mostly can't if you have a weapon with at least assault sprint profiles, which you will only know by either knowing it from other people, like myself, showing you what the code says, by looking at the code yourself, or by just figuring it out. But this is why I so frequently take pistols or shotguns when I run heavier weapons like the Thammer. It is still possible for some enemies to catch you or get you as you are going by, so you have to still use dodges in those cases, but since weapons like the Thammer have instant pullout into block transitions, but not fast run speeds, I will swap to my ranged weapon as soon as I am safe from needing to block. Number 3, dodge into vault. Vaults are a key skill for kiting because most enemies will path around your vault location rather than over it, and this works especially well if you have a drop of some kind that you can use. There are many such places on many maps, so figure out where they are and start planning ahead of time where you will fall back to if you need to kite it out. Vaulting actually wins games. I'm pretty sure to do this safely, you want to do at least one dodge just before you attempt to vault, or they will catch your cheeks on the way down. Watch your distances too. Dodging off a vault can give you a lot more distance, by the way, but number 4, vaults are not safe from guns. As soon as you hit the air during a slide or dodge, you gain plenty of distance, but lose the safety generated by the dodge or slide into that threat. That is to say, they can shoot you. It's really annoying because it transitions you from what you think is a safe maneuver into an unsafe one, and it has killed me. So watch out for that. Number 5, if you need to res, you need to make space through pace and lace. Okay, so referring back to those circuits from the last section, you need to have a plan on how you are going to get the res off. You can't just sprint for it. You need to create some distance between you and the enemies by abusing enemy pathing. You need to be faster than the enemies. You need to try and hit the res right after a vault, for example, off of some sort of overhang. You need to get all the enemies grouped up before you go for it. Also, eliminate interrupting specialists that have clear LOS to your location. Number 6, walls. Keep a wall to your left or right. Hug it where possible when moving. This limits the number of enemies who can potentially harm you or surround you. If you want more information on slots, there's actually already an excellent video that is brief, and I will link it below. Also, please remember that cover is real, but the best cover in this particular game is the full scale right angle. You can absolutely bamboozle enemy AI with this one simple trick, so please leverage it. Stand near corners and peek them like it's CSGO. Works especially well against trappers. Number 7, use barrels. Fire barrels can be used to send yourself flying to gain distance from the mob that will be following you. This does no damage. Exploding barrels can be tapped once to trigger them initially, so they detonate as the enemy trails you on the timer that they function with. This will buy you precious seconds and also wound the horde. Alright, thanks for bearing with me on those. Not the easiest write-up of my time doing this. I'll take your thoughts on how that went in the comments below. Let's talk about linearization and funneling. Despite what some may have you believe, being in a hive city and the associated tile sets means there are a lot of choke points in the game. A key skill for upper level content is pulling enemies into those choke points on purpose so that high cleave and AoE weapons are more efficient at killing them, and it's easier to maintain a stable front line. You can also linearize your enemies in a number of ways. One is abusing a circuit to string them all out. Another is just intentionally retreating or advancing into or beyond a choke point. You can even corral them by leveraging waterfall or climb up mechanics from large drop downs on purpose, like at the beginning of Have Draco, where you can actually do either. Abusing these things is hugely helpful to rapid clears. I hope some of these ideas are helpful to your squad the next time you form up for some max level difficulty content, and maybe they will even help make your pubs a bit more reliable too. Just having a common shared language for some of these concepts may make it just a little easier to quickly say what everybody's gonna do in a pub. Warm regards, everybody. Reginald. I would like to take a moment to provide a special thank you to A Rando Dude and Joseph Davison for being Oathmaker level members, and to Zimisk3 and Fluff and Monolith Mask. Also, a shout out to Vinny for continuing to support my channel whenever I do have time to stream. Guys, genuinely, I really appreciate it a lot. It honestly is just so encouraging to have you guys supporting me like that, and it means a lot to me personally, so thank you. I hope to continue to bring you high quality content. I continue to do my best. So take care, and I'll see you around. Thanks so much for visiting, and bye-bye.